Alrighty, well, good evening, everyone. We are going to get started here. I am Lieutenant Yokoe. I am the Air Force ROTC Admissions Advisor for San Diego and Hawaii. I will be your facilitator of this event tonight. And first off, we are going to get started with a commander's welcome from our very own Colonel Grimm, our detachment commander at Air Force ROTC, Det 075 at San Diego State University. Sir, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, LT. I appreciate it. Hey, welcome to everybody. Appreciate you all taking time out of your evening to be part of this Zoom session. Zoom's been pretty cool. I guess maybe that's the only good thing that's come out of this pandemic. Obviously, we'd much rather do this stuff in face, in person to person. But with everything going on, Zoom is the best platform for us at this point. So I'm going to break this up just into a couple different welcomes. For those that are interested in joining the United States Air Force or the Space Force, thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for your interest in service to your country. The Air Force provides, the Air Force and Space Force obviously provides tons and tons of different opportunities. Again, whether you're looking at enlisting in the Air Force, whether you're going through ROTC or through the Air Force Academy, whatever your interest is, there's lots and lots of different opportunities, different career choices, opportunities to lead, opportunities to make a difference not only in the mission that the United States Air Force and Space Force conduct, but make a difference in people's lives, in airmen's lives. So there's fantastic opportunities across the board. So thank you for your interest. I would challenge you to explore everything that the Air Force has to offer. Same with the Space Force. Obviously, the Space Force is new, so we're all learning about the Space Force together. But there's great opportunities out there. And again, I would challenge you to explore all the different career fields that are out there. Look at the different places that you could be stationed, where you could live, around the world. There's a lot of different opportunities out there. I know when I joined ROTC 29 years ago, I didn't know where it was going to take me. And, here I sit on active duty, over 25 years on active duty, obviously 4 years in ROTC. Been very fortunate. I've been stationed all over the world. My family and I, we've lived in Germany, in Italy, Japan, Hawaii. We've lived in every time zone within the United States. Been fortunate enough to, been TDY and deployed all over the world. I think I'm up to like 34, 35 countries at this point. So the opportunities have just been endless. So it's been great. So please, do your research, obviously. And then allow these great recruiters that are online here with you to answer any questions that you may have across the board. Transitioning to I think we have some high school counselors out there also. Thank you for what you do. Obviously, not just for promoting what the military has to offer, but really what you do day to day to take care of the high school population within the greater San Diego community. You're on the front lines of ensuring their success in the academic world. And just as a father, one, because I have a daughter that's in high school here in San Diego. But obviously just as a proud citizen, thank you for what you do to take care of those high school students across the board. And then also, obviously thank you for being our eyes and ears out there also, and allowing high school students to understand some of the opportunities that the military provides, if that's something that they're interested in. And then over to our junior ROTC instructors that are out there. One, thank you for your service. Thank you for your continued service. And we definitely appreciate it. You speak the same language as us, so you're able to do that translation for us. Especially when it comes to recruiting, what it means to be on active duty, what it means to go through whatever commissioning program you may have. Or for folks that enlist, and what it means to go through basic training into tech school on into active duty. So again, thank you for what you do day in and day out. And then lastly, for the recruiters that are online right now that set this whole meeting up, thanks for what you guys do. Right? Awesome community to work in. You're very military friendly, but you guys are out there every day educating the populace making sure that they understand, again, what opportunities are out there for folks that are interested in serving their country. So to all of you that are online also that set all this up and that you're going to answer all these questions tonight, thank you for what you do. So LT, I appreciate the couple minutes to welcome everybody and look forward to the overall discussion. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for those words, sir. All righty, folks. So just going into our agenda for tonight, we are going to start off with a brief introduction of every recruiter that we have on here so that you can just get an idea of what they're going to talk about during their presentation. And tonight, you're going to hear from 5 Air Force accession sources. The first one will be the Air Force Academy, and speaking to you will be Second Lieutenant Ludvig Oliver. Next will be Air Force ROTC, which will be presented to you by myself, Lieutenant Guy Yokoe. And next, we'll have the Air National Guard presented by Master Sergeant Newsome, the Air Force Reserve presented by Master Sergeant Guardado and Master Sergeant Elefante, and then Enlisted Active Duty presented by Technical Sergeant Harrington and Technical Sergeant Rosser. So we will start around the room with brief introductions, starting with Lieutenant Ludvig Oliver.
Hey everyone, my name is Second Lieutenant Ludvig Oliver. I am a local from San Diego, so I'm excited to talk to you about a little bit about the Air Force Academy and what that opportunity can be for you or for your students, and the awesome opportunity that I got myself into. So I look forward to talking to you guys here in a bit.
Thank you, Lieutenant Oliver. And then on to myself. Good evening, everyone. I am Lieutenant Guy Yokoe. I am the admissions advisor for Air Force ROTC in San Diego. I am super excited to talk to you all tonight. If you are interested in the Air Force and you are interested in becoming an officer in the Air Force and you want to go to college, Air Force ROTC might be a great option for you. Our units are located at over 1,100 colleges and universities nationwide. We are also the largest officer accession source to the Air Force, so we commission about 60 to 65% of our officers every year. And since we are located at so many places nationwide, this might be a great option for you to stay at home, or if you want to get as far away from home as possible, then you can do that as well. So looking forward to speaking with you here shortly. Master Sergeant Newsome, over to you, sir.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Master Sergeant Jeremy Newsome. I'm the Recruiter and Retention Manager for the 147th Combat Communications Squadron down in San Diego, California. A great thing about the Air National Guard, it's a great opportunity for individuals who want to stay local, serve 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year within the part-time Air Force. So when I go through my slides, hopefully I'll be able to answer any of the overall questions that you all may have, and I'll look forward to speaking with you all afterwards.
Thank you, Master Sergeant Newsome, and over to Master Sergeant Guardado and Master Sergeant Elefante.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Master Sergeant Guardado. This is Master Sergeant Elefante. How you doing? We are both the Air Force Reserve recruiters for the San Diego area, reaching all the way down to El Centro, a little bit of Yuma, Arizona. What we're going to talk about today is we're definitely going to cover the Air Force Reserve processes, benefits, locations, and pretty much what the Air Force Reserve entails. So looking forward to chatting with you guys and answer any questions you guys may have about the program.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And now over to Technical Sergeant Harrington and Technical Sergeant Rosser.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sergeant Harrington. I'm the active duty recruiter here in the San Diego area at the Mira Mesa office. And I'm going to talk to you today about how to join the Air Force in 3 simple steps and just talk to you about the benefits that active duty can offer you. It is full-time, and that's what I do full-time. So I'm looking forward to talk to you about that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Technical Sergeant Rosser, also active duty recruiter out here in Southern California. We're excited to be here, excited to answer your guys' questions. Whatever stage you're at in your life, whatever you plan on doing, just make sure that you do something today that your future self will thank you for. So thank you guys, and we look forward to helping you guys out.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you, Tech Sergeant Harrington and Tech Sergeant Rosser. Let's see, Tech Sergeant LeBlanc slide. Alrighty, and we are going to kick off our presentations with the United States Air Force Academy. Lieutenant Oliver, over to you, sir.
Again, thanks everyone for being here today. Again, my name is Second Lieutenant Ludvig Oliver. I hail from San Diego, California. Went to Otay Ranch High School, just a little bit further south of San Diego. So proud to be a Mustang from there. I am actually enlisted out of high school as part of 362nd. So I'm glad to be back to my roots as my first assignment, just recently graduating from the Air Force Academy as a proud member of class of 2020. Awesome time to graduate in the pandemic, but you know, my experiences at the academy were awesome. During my time there, I studied computer engineering and found myself traveling through school and even playing volleyball for the school. So it was an awesome opportunity for me to have as a Southern California boy out in Colorado snowboarding and playing volleyball was an awesome opportunity. Slide, please. So the Air Force Academy. So the Air Force Academy is a university specifically tailored to develop leaders for both the Air Force and the Space Force. We do this in various ways. So slide, please. By developing someone through our three pillars, whether that which is academics, athletics, and military. And this is what you get out of the Air Force Academy. Is our goal is to develop students and cadets to become officers ready to lead both Air Force and Space Force. The slide, please. So with that first pillar, we start off with academics. In academics, we are considered one of the top universities out in public colleges, which means we do not offer graduate studies programs at the Air Force Academy, but we have tons of students who actually attend graduate programs upon graduating from the Air Force Academy. I want to emphasize, although we are a fairly STEM-heavy university, we highly value our liberal arts programs, and we have a ton of majors to offer. Slide, please. So currently, we do have 32 majors and 12 minors, which 8 of our languages. We have created a new degree, or 2 new degrees actually these past couple years. One which is data science, and 2 which is our space warfighting minor, which is to prepare students to be a space officer in that aspect. Slide, please. Secondly, we do have our athletics. We have the saying that every cadet is an athlete. One way or another, you are going to be an athlete at the Air Force Academy. So slide, please. Our first one is our Division I athletes. At the Air Force Academy, we do represent the Mountain West Conference, but we also represent other conferences as well. We have 27 NCAA Division I sports, of which we actually have the most female Division I athletics program at the Air Force Academy, of which we have about 10. And if you are interested in getting recruited to these, to the Air Force Academy or any of these sports, please check out goairforcefalcons.com. There you can find more information and even contact infos for our coaches for possible recruitment, or for any of your students who you think would be a great fit for the Air Force Academy and can represent in the athletic aspect of their time in university. So next slide, please. Club sports. Club sports are, although we are not funded by NCAA, we are funded by the Air Force Academy to represent the Air Force Academy in athletic events. I personally participated in men's club volleyball, and I got to travel to Hawaii, Florida, all over the US, Canada, just to play volleyball for the Air Force Academy and represent and make networks and connections with people in different aspects. Next slide, please. We also have squadron intramurals, which we have our current squadron system. Students would compete against one another to earn a title for the Air Force, or for the cadet wing. Next slide, please. And lastly, like I said, every cadet is an athlete, so we do still require our physical fitness test and aerobic fitness test, which is just grueling at itself, but it is an exam that we take once a semester, and if you do well enough, you just do it once a year. So, like I said, every cadet is an athlete, and that is ensured that we can lead in a physical aspect for the Air Force. Next slide, please. So the academy experience, that is the biggest reason why the Air Force Academy exists, is that we have an experience that can't be done anywhere else. And that's through our summer development as well as a 4-year development throughout the Air Force Academy. That starts with basic cadet training. So next slide, please. So basic cadet training, right, starts day one once you take your first day at the Air Force Academy. And that's about a 6-week program that you'll attend, and that does cover your requirement of field training for ROTC as well as basic training for OTS and or enlisting. So next slide, please. So after basic cadet training, military training does not stop at the Air Force Academy. We have drill, as you can see on the top left, which we have development. We have survival training, which we have on top right. We constantly have flyovers at the academy, and it's pretty awesome to see those experiences, to get to just see different kinds of planes fly over, as well as get to actually touch and see the plane, and even get inside of those planes as they land on the Toronto floor at the Air Force Academy. And lastly, on the bottom right, we have one of my favorite experiences at the Academy, which is our National Character and Leadership Symposium. This is just an opportunity for cadets to be exposed to different walks of life, as well as different thought processes, whether that's athletic focus, whether that's any cultural or leadership aspects that we talk about that is important for any leader to have. Next slide, please. And we have our summer programs, which we do offer at the Air Force Academy. I got to do a cultural immersion as well as a foreign academy visit when I was at the Air Force Academy. I found myself in Romania, and before the pandemic, I was supposed to go to Colombia, but that fell through. Ops Air Force, I got to do some research as well as learn more about what cybersecurity is and cyber officership is at the National Security Agency, as well as summer research. I went to Lockheed Martin, and these were just awesome experiences I got to have at the Air Force Academy. Right, being at that point, I was 21, 22, 23, just enjoying and understanding different thought processes and different avenues of service, whether that's in the private sector or in different countries. So that was a really awesome experience to have at the Air Force Academy. Next slide, please. And the summer experience, I got to jump out of a plane. I got to fly a perfectly good plane with an engine, and I got to fly a plane without an engine. This was an awesome, awesome summer experience that I got to do. And I built a lot of experiences on my own. I'm still scared of heights, to be honest, but I am more than happy to fly a plane. I don't know if I'd be happy to jump out of a plane again, but I got my 5 solid jumps out of a perfectly flying airplane that was taught and led by actual other cadets that had upgraded throughout their time at the Academy. And these are programs and opportunities that the Academy does offer for students, for them to take in that next step and become those new leaders as they progress during their time at the Academy. We also have a cyber, a space, and a UAV program at the Academy. Next slide, please. And lastly, my favorite part of the Academy is being in Colorado Springs. I got to go snowboarding almost every other weekend when I was out there. I logged in more than 20 plus days a year. That was a great time, as well. I got to see some baseball games, football games, and basketball games, with Denver right being down the road. Family is always welcome to come to Colorado, but the hiking is outstanding at the Academy. So this should be something you guys should consider. And after attending the Academy, it's what's next that really gives you that service. So next slide, please. So I got to see this during my graduation day on 18 April, and that was an awesome experience. Getting to see Vice President Pence give my commencement speech. It was a nice windy day, and it was an awesome experience nonetheless, even if our family wasn't there. Graduating from this institution was beyond words for me. So attending the Air Force Academy leads you to become an officer in the Air Force, and this is what it means, and this is what it's offered attending the Air Force Academy. So next slide, please. So there are 35 different career fields that the Air Force does offer. 50% out of the Air Force Academy do become pilots. We are now starting 10% attending the Space Force, and then about 10% of the graduating class at the Academy do attend graduate school. And graduate school is whether that's just getting a master's degree, but also offers law school, med school, and other high-level nursing and medical degrees that are available, in the private sector. And we do offer those to students. They incur a little bit more in terms of service commitment, but that whole experience and that whole degree is paid for by the Air Force, which is a very enticing opportunity for those who are interested in going through that route. So next slide, please. To be particular, these are the Air Force career opportunities that exist coming out of the Air Force Academy. On the left, you do incur a longer time commitment. And in the middle, you owe a minimum of 5 years. And on the right are our specialized degrees. So you have to have a degree in that field to serve in that manner. So I myself was a computer engineer, again, like I said, at the Academy. And I had the option to choose to become a computer engineer for the Air Force, but I chose to become a pilot, and I'll actually be heading off to pilot training after this assignment. So again, every cadet does have to serve a minimum of 5 years, but it could be more depending on what career path you do choose coming out of the Air Force Academy. So next slide, please. Oh, and now we do also have the Space Force, and right now we only have 5 career fields offered through the Space Force. These career fields do have subject to change down the road. I'm sure the Space Force does plan on improving and adding into their capabilities. So as of now, this is what we currently offer coming out of the Air Force Academy. And to apply for that is a boarded program that it depends on your performance coming into the Academy. So next slide, please. So how do you get started in applying for the Air Force Academy? That is what this slide is all about. Please check out academyadmissions.com. There you can find more information, more detail about the Air Force Academy. Whether you're a junior or senior applying or wanting to apply to the Air Force Academy now, this is a good place to start. Whether you are a counselor and you want to direct your students in this manner or to the Air Force Academy, check out this website, and here you can get more information. We have opportunities for students to learn more, get experiences, and even get selected for either summer seminar or possible future talking programs that the Air Force Academy does offer. Next slide, please. And what's required out of an application to the Air Force Academy? It's an academic, physical, medical, character, and nomination competitiveness and requirements that come out of that we look for into a student. So next slide, please. These are somewhat of averages that we do have, that we see trends of current students that are attending the Air Force Academy. With those averages, does not necessarily mean that your student must fall within this category, because it is an average. So we do have a low, we do have a high. So again, these are the numbers that people like to see in terms of, okay, what is my goal? And this should be a goal for students if they are interested in attending the Air Force Academy. Next slide, please. Physical and medical competitiveness. So you will be taking a fitness test to apply to the Air Force Academy, as well as you will go through a medical examination to apply to the Air Force Academy. Next slide, please. When we consider leadership, these are some of the suggested, or not necessarily suggested, but these are the things that we do see in students in their applications when they do apply to the Air Force Academy. Although this does not cover all the lists that students are in, these are just the small little nitpicks that we've found over time that people are in that attend the Air Force Academy. Next slide, please. All right, sorry. All right. And to complete your application, you are required to have a nomination from a congressional a representative, and this is by law, whether that's from a senator, from your congressman, or vice presidential. It is required to earn a nomination to attend the Air Force Academy. And to earn a nomination, you must go to your nomination source's website, and there they will give guidelines on how you can apply for a nomination. It's almost like applying for another college or another university, because you are required to send in your SATs, your ACTs, your transcripts, as well as writing a writing sample. So these are what are required applying to the Air Force Academy. Next slide, please. Just to show numbers of how many people apply to the Air Force Academy a year, starting applicants that we do get is about 2,600, 2,700. And then it dwindles down to about 4,000 students, 4,000 to 4,500 students are fully qualified to apply for the Air Force Academy. And that qualified candidates mean that they have earned a nomination source, as well as completed their full application to the Air Force Academy. And we take about 1,200 students a year. And this does not actually include our preparatory school students and our Falcon Foundation students. So next slide, please. So preparatory schools and Falcon Foundation programs are preparatory programs that you take either the year prior to attending the Air Force Academy to just hone on some skills that the Air Force Academy wants you to learn and develop, so you are well prepared to attend the Air Force Academy. I myself was a USAFA preparatory school student, class of 2016, and it was a great opportunity for me to get my feet wet in academics, because I was very detached from academics, being enlisted for so long. I learned chemistry, I learned calculus, and that was my first time ever even touching those, even after high school. So next slide, please. So that's all I have for today in terms of presentation, but key takeaways that I do see from a lot of your chats is that applying to the Air Force Academy does not cost any money, and attending the Air Force Academy does not cost any money. This is a no tuition cost to you, because it is a full scholarship given to you through the Air Force Academy. A room and board is covered because you are attending the Air Force Academy. You will be housed at the Air Force Academy. Food is also provided at the Academy. Medical and dental coverage is taken care of at the Academy, as well as a monthly stipend given to you being a student and cadet at the Air Force Academy. And lastly, you are guaranteed a career coming out of this great university, and I am so lucky to be one of the students that come out of such a prestigious university. So that's all I have today. I will answer questions throughout the chat, and I will send, we will be here. I'll send my information further in the chat if you want to contact me outside of this presentation today. So, thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant Oliver, for that awesome information about the Air Force Academy. Next, I will be talking to you about the Air Force ROTC program. Let's see. All righty. So start off, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. Again, I'm Lieutenant Yokoe. I am the Air Force ROTC Admissions Advisor in San Diego. I am originally from Hilo, Hawaii. I was born in Hawaii, then I'm actually part of a military family. So I got to move around and spend 5 years in California, 5 years in Virginia. Then I moved back to Hawaii, went to high school there. And then after high school, I went to Hawaii Pacific University, where I got my degree in business administration. And I also participated in Air Force ROTC as a crosstown cadet to Manoa over there on the island of Oahu in Honolulu. Now I am an admissions advisor for 1 year, and after this 1 year assignment, I'll be headed off to Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas for pilot training. Slide, please. So overview of what we're going to be talking about today. What ROTC is, the ROTC timeline in college, and what you can expect from the ROTC college lifestyle, scholarships, and other opportunities that we have, and then a little bit about careers and benefits. Slide, please. So as some of you may already know, Air Force ROTC is one of 3 commissioning sources in the Air Force. You just heard about another one, the Air Force Academy, and the last one is Officer Training School, or OTS. But right now, I'm going to be talking specifically about Air Force ROTC. Slide, please. So what is Air Force ROTC? ROTC is going to be a 3 to 5 year program for students to go to a regular civilian college and do military training at the same time. It's a pathway into active duty Air Force, potentially the reserves or the Guard as well. It's a possible funding source for you to help get college paid for. And we are located at over 1,100 colleges and universities across the country. So again, if you want to stay close to home, or you want to get as far away from home as possible, and you want to pursue a pathway to becoming an officer in the Air Force, this might be a great option for you. Slide, please. So standard program progression for ROTC, what you can expect if you join our program is, for freshmen and sophomores, you're going to have 1 hour of classroom instruction per week. You're going to have 2 hours of leadership laboratory, which is pretty much the hands-on implementation and execution of what you learned in your instructional class. You're going to have 2 to 3 hours a week of physical training. And for any of you who think, physical training is going to be like boot camp stuff, or you get intimidated when you hear that, it's really not that difficult. It's not that big of a deal. It's just us as a cadet corps coming to work out for 2 to 3 hours a week. So that's what you should expect in your underclassmen time. And then when you're a sophomore, that's when you really start competing to get a slot for what we call field training, that gap between your sophomore and junior year. And that's when you compete for what we call an enrollment allocation. Now that enrollment allocation is gonna basically be your ticket to go to field training and commission into the Air Force when you graduate. Then in your junior and senior year, you are gonna have about 3 hours a week for instructional class. You're gonna have the same 2 hours of leadership laboratory a week. You're gonna have the same 2 to 3 hours of physical training. But in your junior year, that's when you're gonna start your job selection process. And then your senior year, that's when you're gonna really start to prep and learn about active duty, getting ready to commission. Now, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to talk about field training, because I missed that. Field training is sort of like boot camp, but it's a very condensed version of boot camp or basic military training. Right now, it's a 2-week course at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. And the reason why it's so short is because you get military training throughout your entire 4 years of college. So that happens concurrently. And field training really is basically a capstone event of everything that you learned in your freshman and sophomore year. We're gonna force you to work with people that you just met from around the country. We're gonna force you to exercise your leadership skills. We're gonna force you to think on the spot, and we're gonna walk you through how you can be better as a leader and evaluate you so that when you go back as a junior, you can start leading the freshman and sophomore cadets. A great thing about ROTC is that it's a completely cadet planned and run program. So we don't just, teach you stuff in the classroom and expect you to remember it. When you're a junior and senior, we put you in those leadership positions so that you can train your peers and those under you and make you make hard decisions that'll directly affect those you're in charge of. Slide, please. So basic requirements for joining Air Force ROTC. All you have to do to join Air Force ROTC is get accepted to one of over 1,100 colleges or universities that our program is offered at. This is really awesome because it gives you a lot of flexibility and it allows you to choose where you want to go. You'll also have to enroll in our AS class and leadership laboratory that I just talked about in the progression. And then to continue in Air Force ROTC, you just have to make sure that you're physically fit, you're passing your fitness assessment, you pass the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test in your first semester of sophomore year, which is kind of like a military version of the SAT or ACT with a few pilot and navigator sections tossed in there. You're going to have to pass a medical examination, or what we call a DODMERB, which stands for Department of Defense Medical Examination Review Board. Don't worry, I know that's a mouthful. You don't have to remember all that. And then maintain at least a 2.0 cumulative GPA if you are not on scholarship, and a 2.5 cumulative GPA if you are on scholarship. And you must have a US citizenship by the time you contract. Slide, please. So, college life and Air Force ROTC. Unlike the Air Force Academy, where a lot of stuff is regimented and you're told what to do most of the time, as long as you can get everything that you need to get done in a day, your time after your aerospace studies class, your leadership laboratory, and your PT is pretty much yours. So personally, I had a part-time job when I was in ROTC. One of my friends who's an admissions advisor in Sacramento, she was a Division I cheerleader all 4 years of her college career. And the autonomy that Air Force ROTC offers you allows you to choose your class schedule. So obviously you're gonna have classes while you're pursuing your academic major. And if you're like me and go to a college that offers a lot of online classes, you can actually have, a few days off during the week. So I was able to have maybe Tuesday or Thursday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday off during the week while still having like a 19 to 21 credit semester. But the ROTC schedule was flexible enough for me to do that. So it's all about, the college experience that you want to have. Slide, please. Alrighty, now what a lot of you probably care about most, we're gonna start talking about money and scholarships. Slide, please. Alrighty, so for you seniors out there, our high school scholarship program application window is open for you right now. So some requirements for the high school scholarship application, you're gonna have to have a minimum of a 1240 SAT or a 26 ACT and a cumulative GPA of 3.0 from 9th through 11th grade. Your 12th grade GPA is not going to count towards your scholarship application. You also need to be a US citizen and between 17 and 27 years old, but most of you are probably in high school right now, so that shouldn't be a problem. And then you're gonna have to complete an Air Force fitness assessment, and that's just a regular fitness assessment comprised of a 1.5 mile run, a 1 minute maximum push-ups, and a 1 minute of maximum sit-ups. And then you're gonna have your scholarship interview. The scholarship interview is gonna be about 45% of your entire scholarship application. And in that interview, it usually lasts about an hour to 2 hours. You're gonna have that interview with a detachment commander or another officer instructor at your local ROTC detachment. And we just kind of look at who you are, get to know you as a person, see what you've been involved with in high school, your leadership potential, and get a sense of your overall moral character. And there's 3 different types of scholarships that we offer. We offer the Type 1 scholarship, which is going to be full tuition and fees paid for at any public or private university nationwide, as long as it has the Air Force ROTC program. Our Type 2 scholarship, which is up to $18,000 a year, again, at any public or private university. And then our Type 7 scholarship, which covers up to full in-state tuition at whatever university you're at. Now, full disclosure on the scholarships, they do not cover room and board. So if you're planning to go out of state, or you're planning to dorm or whatnot, you're gonna have to pay for that out of pocket. Our scholarships do come with a $900 annual book stipend, which turns out to be $450 a semester, and a $300 to $500 regular stipend, which is just the Air Force giving you money to help you stay on your feet and pay for whatever you need to pay for while you're in college. Slide, please. So if you are like me and some of those academic numbers might intimidate you, then no worries. Personally, I was a terrible test taker in high school. I would never have qualified for the high school scholarship program and probably still won't. I definitely didn't qualify for the Air Force Academy, but you still have opportunities to get scholarships in college with our in-college scholarship program. Now, these scholarships are completely performance merit-based and commander nominated. So you don't have to apply for these. You have to be in the program for a minimum of 1 semester, and then you'll be eligible to receive a scholarship as long as your commander at your ROTC detachment nominates you for them. And these scholarships, only the type 1 and type 2 are going to be offered for in college scholarship program. And they still come with the same benefits, the $900 month annual book stipend and the $300 to $500 monthly stipend. Slide, please. Extra opportunities in ROTC. So in addition to our scholarship opportunities, we do a lot of professional development training, just like the Air Force Academy. So we have Operations Air Force, which is a program which you apply and compete for, and we'll send you off to an Air Force base to shadow officers and enlisted to get a sense of what they actually do in their career field. And then we have programs like our SOAR program and our Airmanship 490 program, which are exchange programs with the Air Force Academy. If you get accepted, you'll go to the Air Force Academy. You can fly gliders or jump out of perfectly good airplanes if that's what you are into. And then one of our big ones, Project Global Officer, or what we call Project Go. It's a fully funded trip by the Air Force to send you to a foreign country or another university domestically to study a language. So that's probably going to be about 6 to 8 weeks over the summer. And historically speaking, we've had people go to Japan, China, Korea, Ukraine, Turkey, and all over the United States just to study language over the summer. Slide, please. Now, career fields, Lieutenant Oliver hit this one on the nose in his presentation. Every career field that you can commission into from the Air Force Academy, you can also commission into from Air Force ROTC. I would say the biggest difference is if you want to be a nurse, you can pursue your nursing degree in Air Force ROTC concurrently versus the Air Force Academy, where you have to get your undergrad at the academy and then go off to a different school to study nursing and get your nursing degree. So just something to keep in mind for you nurses or people who want to be nurses out there. Choose what's best for you. And slide, please. So career benefits, just like every other service member, we have competitive benefits packages. You're going to be in an immediate leadership role as an officer once you commission and graduate with your bachelor's degree. We get basic allowance for housing. Some of you might be familiar with that, which is housing allowance that's not taxable. We also get non-taxable subsistence allowance and 30 days paid vacation every year and tons of opportunities to travel around the world. I'm sure you'll hear from our enlisted recruiters who've been in much longer than I have. They'll tell you about the great places they've been. And like Lieutenant Oliver said, service commitment varies on your career field. So most careers are going to be a 4-year service commitment versus the Air Force Academy's 5-year service commitment after you graduate. Then for our RPA, CISOs, and ABMs, or our remotely piloted aircraft, our combat systems officers, kind of like navigators, and our air battle managers, those guys will get a 6-year service commitment after training. And then our pilots are going to have a 10-year service commitment after training. The reason why I say after training is most people think it starts right when you get on active duty, but it starts after training. Slide, please. All right, so that's all I got for y'all for Air Force ROTC right now. If you have any questions or you are interested, please feel free to email me at sandiego@afrotcadmissions.com or call and text me on my work cell anytime. All righty. Thank you all for listening. Next, we are going to go over to the California Air National Guard, Master Sergeant Jeremy Newsome. Sir, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. All right. So a little bit about myself before I start talking and going into my presentation. I'm Master Sergeant Jeremy Newsome. I originally joined the active duty Air Force fresh out of high school. So exactly 30 days after I graduated, I was down in basic military training. I did active duty Air Force for 12 years total. Throughout that 12 years, I had the opportunity to PCS to 5 different locations, being stationed overseas on 2 of those locations. I deployed to Afghanistan 1 time, and then I had 3 stateside assignments. One of those stateside assignments, I was an active duty recruiter for 5 total years. So I say all that to say that I come with a little bit of experience to what the active duty was when I was there, and then now being in the Air National Guard. I think for high school students, this is a great opportunity for you all to hear all of your options and make an educated decision on what the opportunities are for you and what plan you think will work best for you. I always tell individuals when I talk to them, if I would have done anything other than join active duty when I joined the Air Force originally, I wouldn't still be in. So starting that opportunity where the active duty gave me that milestone that I needed to set my career in the right direction. Then later on in my career, I decided that the Air National Guard was a better fit based on what it was that I was currently doing with my life. So that's enough about me. Now I'm going to start the presentation. Next slide, please. So things we're going to talk about today. First is what is the California Air National Guard? Oftentimes, people don't even know that we exist. So I'm excited to be able to spread that word on what it is that we are, what it is that we do, and how some of you may be able to benefit from us. And then we'll go and talk about the process as far as joining the Air National Guard. And then at the end, if you all have any questions or concerns, I'd like to answer them at that time. Next slide, please. So the Air National Guard is a part-time component of the Air Force. So Air Force as a whole has 3 separate components. You have the active duty component, which you're a full-time member. You have 2 reserve components with the Air Force Reserves, the Air National Guard. So the Air National Guard, we're 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year is your minimum commitment that you have to give to us. Now, what is great about the Air National Guard is we hold what's called a dual status mission, which means that we support the federal government, but also the local state government at the exact same time. Within the state of California, we have 5 different wings that stretch from Northern California all the way to Southern California, San Diego, where we are. Now, with all of these different wings, every single wing has a different mission that we focus on and what we prioritize all of our efforts towards. So our 129th, which is in Moffett Field, they're our rescue wing. So if individuals are looking to jump out of planes, do cool stuff, we have our Air Force Pararescue that are stationed at that location. Stretching all the way down to San Diego, where we're a combat communications squadron. So within all 5 of our different wings, 10 separate locations, we have almost every career field that the Air Force has at one of those locations. There's 10 career fields here in California that we don't have, but other than that, we have it. And the great thing is that if an individual decides to join, you choose what base it is that you want to go to, which also will dictate the career opportunities that are available to you. Next slide, please. Now, oftentimes people think that when you join the Air National Guard, we are 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year here in the state of California. But with that, you also will have opportunities to travel and see the world. So I will say this presentation here, this snapshot is from one of our current unit members, because I wanted to be able to give a true opportunity, a true vision of what a member in the Air National Guard gets exposed to. Again, I came directly from active duty, directly into my full-time position. So if you looked at my map, it would be a little bit different. But this map here shows what our unit members who serves 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, the opportunities that he was able to go out and explore while he's been in the Air National Guard for the 8 years that he's been in. So not only has he had the opportunity to be activated in the state of California and support some of the great missions that happen, but also able to raise his right hand and volunteer to go to overseas locations. Right now, we have, at my unit, we have about 30 members who leave in the next few days to go over to Germany for 6 months. So being able to take their skill set and do that in another country is just a great opportunity that you get while serving in the part-time Air Force. So next slide, please. So now our federal mission within the Air National Guard, here in the state of California, because we are on 2 separate full-time active duty bases, we work hand in hand with our active duty counterparts to backfill some of the requirements that they may be able to do, but may be able to use some extra assistance on. So Beale Air Force Base, we have an intelligence unit where when you look at their intel floor, they're sitting right next to our active duty counterparts, fulfilling the exact same missions that our active duty members are doing, but they're just getting paid by a different pot of money to make it sound as easy as possible. So what this just exposed to you all is that not only are we supporting the state of California and being able to be that hero when we need to be called upon, but we also are able to work hand in hand with our active duty members and fill some of those requirements that they are required to fill and could use some additional assistance with. Next slide, please. All right, so this is what the Air National Guard is known for, our state mission. So every year in the state of California, Southern California goes through what's called wildfire season, where we have these wildfires that happen and we need individuals to go out and assist to put out the fires. Now, the great thing about the Air National Guard is that you get the opportunity to directly impact your state and say that you assisted in multiple different capacities. So our unit, the 147th Combat Communications Squadron, our unit is full of all communication members who career fields vary from satellite communications down to cybersecurity career fields. Now these members, when they're called upon, they're the first to respond to any location to set up any communication devices so that all of the personnel on the ground can communicate with the aircraft or any resources that are being utilized to help support whatever that mission is. That speaks for that unit. Then we have an intel unit that's in Los Alamitos, California, where on the state side, what their requirement is they're able to utilize the Air Force resources and technology to fly over certain locations to determine where we have personnel and or assets are in order so that our personnel can focus their efforts in an accurate way. So they're not searching 200 acres where we have all personnel and equipment in about 2 acres of land. So every year, whenever wildfire season comes on, that's typically when you would see the Air National Guard members kind of putting on their cape, their badge of honor, and stepping up to be able to support the state of California and have a direct impact on what's happening right in our backyard. So next slide, please. And then the California Border Mission, this is just another example. The Border Mission has been going on for many, many years here in California. And since the beginning, we've had members that have been activated in support of this mission in order to, again, impact the state of California. So these are just 2 examples that I wanted to highlight to where individuals are in the military, they're wearing their Air Force uniform, doing their Air Force job, but they're assisting the state of California in different efforts and opportunities. Next slide for me. And then this last one highlights our 129th Rescue Wing. They really are the primary individuals who support any rescue missions where we're able to use our Air Force pararescuemen and be able to take them in any location here in the state of California to go out and support and rescue individuals depending on what the event is. And then lastly, right now, COVID-19 happening, which is why we're meeting in this format. We've had 28,000 members that were activated throughout the state of California to help support different efforts. So we're talking about military members going out to food banks and providing support, going out to deliver meals in some of the non-residential areas to families and members who may need assistance. So these are just some of the things that we've been able to do throughout this current pandemic to be able to show that the Air Force is here and that we're here to support in any way that we can. Next slide, please. All right, so now some of the benefits of being in the Air National Guard. So the biggest thing I want to highlight is that 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, you're still getting paid for your time that you're doing with us. You're still getting your benefits that you get with us. And then what's great about the Air National Guard is that if you're currently a senior in high school, you can actually join before you graduate from high school, start getting paid, start all of your benefits, and your time with us starts before you even go to basic military training. So what that means is that while all of your friends are graduating, figuring out what it is that they're going to do with their lives after they graduate, you already know your job that you're doing, you're already participating with your unit, going to your unit and doing your job to a degree, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And then once you graduate, you're able to leave, go to basic military training, come back, and at that time, continue your personal endeavors. So when you look at the pay, what this is going to show you is that your pay from your 1 weekend a month is going to be different from your monthly stipend. Obviously, when you're working your 1 weekend a month, we're only going to pay you for the time that you put on your uniform and do your job. And then when you go off to any type of formal training, then we're going to pay you as an active duty member because now you're a full-time member within us. Next slide, please. So, education opportunities. So this is where I think personally the Air National Guard has really kind of stands out when you look at the ways that you can pay for college and how we're going to be able to assist you. So the Air National Guard, because we have what's called that dual status, we're eligible for federal and state benefits. Our federal benefits, that's going to be Montgomery GI Bill Select Reserve, where you're going to get a monthly stipend as long as you're a full-time student in college, where we're going to pay you for 36 total months. That money comes to you as the individual, and then you're responsible to then in turn pay for your education to your university or college that you're participating in. Our state benefit, which is the California Military Department GI Bill, that grant can pay up to 100% of your tuition and fees, depending on the university it is that you're going to. What's great about the California Military Department GI Bill is that you're eligible to start utilizing this benefit as soon as you come into the Air National Guard, whereas we used to have to wait 2 years from when you came in to be able to utilize that. And then the last entitlement is brand new to the Air National Guard here in California. This fiscal year 2021, we're going to be utilizing the tuition assistance program that our active duty and our reserve counterparts use. So they will educate you all a little bit further on what that entitlement is, but just to scratch the surface on it, it's $4,500 per year that you're able to use to pay for your college courses. So when you look at the Air National Guard benefits, you're looking at state and federal benefits. What's great about these benefits is because they come from two separate pots of money, you're eligible to use a federal and a state benefit simultaneously to be able to pay for your school or add additional income to your pockets if you may need that. Next slide, please. Now, to not steal my active duty members' thunder, but I'm always an individual who I'm super proud of the Community College of the Air Force. So I always, whenever I have the opportunity, try to talk about it as much as possible. Again, this transcript is coming from one of my part-time members because I wanted you all to be able to get a realistic idea of what your college credits are going to look like. So the Community College of the Air Force is an accredited university that once you go off to basic military training with the Air Force, you go off to technical school within the Air Force, you're obtaining college credits throughout your entire time from when you're with us. So by the time you graduate from basic training in tech school, you're really close to having your Community College of the Air Force degree, which is equivalent to an associate's degree. So being 17 years old, coming into the Air Force, by the time you're 18, you're months away from being able to obtain your associate's degree from an accredited university, and then be able to capitalize on that and transfer to a four-year university and have the Air Force in one of the different capacities, whether it be active duty, guard, or reserve, have the Air Force front that bill for you so that that's not something that you have to think about. So this right here just shows you what Sergeant Warther was able to gain from going through basic military training and tech school while getting paid from the Air Force. And then next slide. So the process coming into the Air National Guard is going to be equivalent to our other members. You're going to take the ASVAB, you're going to take your physical, and then from there, what's different is that from us, once you take your ASVAB and your physical, you're then going to sit down with your local Air National Guard recruiter, and we're going to go over all the jobs that you're qualified for based how you did on that ASVAB and that physical, and then all of the career fields that are current and available at that time at one of 10 of our different locations. So when you select your job with us, you're also selecting the location at which you want to do that job at. Once you pick that job, you graduate from high school, we then send you off to basic military training, 8.5 weeks in San Antonio, Texas. You then go to your technical school to learn your career field. And then from there, you come back to your unit and we put you on what's called OJT. So what that is you're now working at your unit for a set amount of days, doing your job on a day-to-day basis to get fully qualified in that skill that we're paying you to do. After that, you go back to doing your 1 week in a month. And then if opportunities come available, very equivalent to my members who I said are leaving to go to Germany in a few days. When those type of opportunities come available, you're able to volunteer for those and go on orders for an extended period of time. So that's an opportunity to where you can do that 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. However, if life changes and you decide that you need to serve more than that, you can always raise your right hand to volunteer to do more service. Next slide, please. All right, so if there's any questions for me, I will go to the chat and answer any questions that you all may have. And then if you go to the next slide, this is going to have my contact information. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, anything that you want to talk to me about one-on-one, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And I would love the opportunity to talk to you all about the Air National Guard. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Master Sergeant Newsome. Next, we are gonna go on to the Air Force Reserve with Master Sergeant Guardado and Master Sergeant Elefante. Over to you, gentlemen. Master Sergeant Guardado, are you on?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we got you.
Fantastic. All righty. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Master Sergeant Guardado. Just to give you guys a heads up, Master Sergeant Elefante is going to be taking care of this chat room. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely feel free to ask any questions or concerns you may have. And Sergeant Elefante will go ahead and direct those answers to you guys as soon as possible. What we are going to be doing today is we're going to be going and cover a little bit about the Air Force Reserve and what it entails and what we do as a mission here locally in San Diego, and where do we serve. One thing that I'm definitely going to cover is that, or I should say in advance, is that most of what Master Newsome already covered is going to be pretty much the same basic information that we're going to cover at our program. As our Newsome said, Reserve and the Air National Guard are very similar into how we operate, with certain differences, which I will definitely cover those. So we'll definitely cover the mission, the base that we served, which is March Reserve Base in Riverside County, some of the benefits and the process that entail within the Air Force Reserve program. So to get started, as far as for our mission for the Air Force Reserve is definitely catered for the federal mission. What does that mean? We're definitely supported 100% with federal funding from the actual president's budget that is directed to the federal component for the military service. We support active duty stateside and overseas and whatever needs they have in a sense. The commitment, same thing as the Air National Guard, is 1 week in a month. Typically is your Saturday and Sunday, and 2 weeks out of the year. Okay. If I can go to the next slide, please. If you look at that, if you guys look at that map, those are actually some of the locations that we are potentially capable of placing you in. As far as for the Air Force Reserve, we can either place you on an active duty base or an Air Force Reserve location, depending on where you want to get stationed. Next slide, please. So our base, we recruit for March Air Reserve Base, which is located in Moreno Valley, which is in Riverside County. It is one of the largest, if not the largest, Air Reserve location base in the entire United States. What we do is we are a mobility wing, which means that we support anything that has to do with flight, including the C-17 Globemasters and the KC-135 aircrafts. So pretty much our main mission is anything that we have that has to do with aircraft maintenance, to include egress system, to include aerospace propulsion, air transportation, anything that has to do with aircraft, with the aircraft systems. That is typically 8 out of 10 of our positions that we currently recruit for. Next slide, please. So again, our location is Riverside County. Again, it's one of the largest bases in the United States when it comes down to the reserve side of the house. It's roughly about 7,748 acres. So that tells you that with a big runway, that is got to be a very large base. Roughly, it's got about over 5,000 military personnel, close to 2,000 civilian personnel. Some of the breakdown as far as what do those personnel do is traditional reservists, which is your 1 week out of the month. You also have full-time active guard reservemen, which is kind of what I do myself. Our jobs are active duty status, which is also known as AGR, Active Guard Reserve, which we fall under Title 10 orders, which means that we get paid the same way as an active duty member does and receive the same benefits. Some of the other employers are federal employees, which are your civilian contractors in a sense, and you also have reserve technicians, and then also extended duty reserve members. Next slide, please. Some of the benefits that that we're going to cover real quick. I know some of you guys that are still in high school, or perhaps are going to college right now and are living at home. You guys might not think about healthcare, but healthcare is probably one of the most important topics or worries for any adult once you guys start living your life and going to school and living on your own. So just to give you guys a quick breakdown, healthcare. If you guys look at any other type of healthcare providers, your monthly stipend or monthly cost is anywhere from $500 to $600-700, depending on what kind of cost or coverage you want. For the Air Force, you have TRICARE Select Reserve, which For a single person, you pay $44.17 a month, and you're covered. That's your healthcare insurance. If you have a family of 2 or more, you pay about $228.27 a month. Which again, if you guys do some comparisons, it's definitely a good deal. Okay. So if you guys have questions regarding that, definitely Sergeant Elefante will be able to answer those for you. Next slide, please. Some of the other benefits that you have as a reservist is you can actually have access to any military installation that you can think of, whether it's a Navy base, whether it's Air Force base, a Marine Corps base. You guys have the access for to go to their commissaries, which is where you purchase groceries. You can go to the basic change, where you can find televisions, any other type of electronics, clothing, etc. You definitely have good discounts compared to some of the outside stores that you go out. In addition, you don't pay taxes, so that's definitely always a plus. Obviously, you definitely get some job experience, same basic military training as you would for the Air National Guard and active duty folks. Kind of what Sergeant Newsome had already mentioned, that we are all part of the same component, active reserve and active duty. So we go to the same basic training, same tech schools, and we pretty much have the same experience that we'll have as a whole, as one branch, one unit. Next slide, please. Some of the educational benefits that every member as Air Force Reserve is entitled to is going to be, we're going to start with the first one, which is the Montgomery GI Bill Selective Reserve. That one, you are eligible for roughly $368 per month for 36 months. So that actually kind of gives you a good stipend to be able to go to school and pay for that tuition, especially if you're starting off at a community college. In addition to that benefit, you also get the tuition assistance program, which is an additional $4,500 annually on top of the $368 per month that you're already going to be eligible for. The next one is going to be the GI Bill Kicker. So that one right there is eligible for, you might be eligible for depending on what career field you select. So if your career field comes with that type of bonus, it's an additional $350 per month. In addition to that, you could be also eligible for anywhere up for a $15,000 or $20,000 signing bonus as well. The next one is College Level Examination Program, which is also known as a CLEP. So for those of you that don't know what that is literally you actually go into our education system, or classes, excuse me, and you request to take the final exam for a subject that you consider yourself to be a subject matter expert. So for example, myself, I went in there and I took the Spanish test and I aced it. I got 16 college credits. So therefore that already advanced me more than a full semester. 3 of my college credits went to humanities, and I transferred them into the community college of the Air Force for my associate's degree, kind of like what Sergeant Newsome already covered, and I'm sure our active duty counterparts will do as well. And the other ones were for electives. So it's definitely a good benefit. In addition to that, you'll also be eligible for what is the actual post 9/11 Montgomery GI Bill. So in addition to the selective reserve, you're also eligible for the post 9/11 after you complete 36 months of full-time service. And again, those are, it's 48 months of, or excuse me, 36 months of education, which comes down to 3 full years of schooling. Your drill pay, on average, this is just an estimate average of somebody that comes in as an E3, who's already a pay grade of E3. You serve 38 days of participation annually, and your pay will roughly be $5,514 per year. So for serving 38 days a year, for that amount of cash is definitely not a bad deal. Next slide, please. As far as stuff for the retirement, I know again, for some of you young folks, retirement is definitely, you know, a long shot out, but definitely retirement is something to definitely start planning You're never too young to start doing that. Retirement, the way it works is you serve 20 years as a reservist, and by the time you turn 60, you start collecting your retirement. Now, this retirement is definitely something to have as a backup plan, because obviously Social Security is out there, and you have your 401ks and any other type of retirement pension that you guys might be planning on having, but sometimes things doesn't work out the way you want to, and you don't put in enough money into a certain retirement plan, and this one is a solid one. As long as you complete those 20 years, you're definitely eligible for that retirement. Next slide, please. So some of the information that we're going to cover here as far as the process, I know Sergeant Newsome already covered it, but I'm just going to brief through it really quick. The initial interview process as far as qualification is with the Air Force Reserve is 17 to 39 years of age. Definitely you have to take the written test, which is the ASVAB exam, and also a medical exam to determine your qualifications. Once you have completed those two tests, we'll definitely look at career selection, see pretty much what you qualify for, where you want to be stationed, and then we'll complete a security clearance, which is definitely beneficial for everyone that is looking at possibly applying for a job that requires that type of security clearance, because typically it'll cost about $40,000 roughly for an employer to complete that task. So if you already bring that to the table for an employer, it's definitely a seller point, and obviously it'll put you up on the hiring scale to be able to get hired for a good paying job. After that, we'll definitely look at your availability for enlistment day. And the enlistment day is a little bit different than the active duty folks. I know active duty will swear you in at MEPS when you get qualified. For us, we'll look at all that at our end. And once we go ahead and take a look at what you qualify for and enlist you, then we'll enlist you here in this office. You can bring family members, whoever you wish to invite, to be able to witness that important moment in your life. In addition to that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start looking at basic training days. So you let us know what you guys want to, when are you guys looking at potentially going to school, going to basic military training. So for example, if you guys are currently going to school now, or if you guys are planning to go to school next semester, or if you guys have an important wedding or vacation that you guys already planned, you let us know when you want to go, as long as it's 12 months from the day that you enlist. So you have control over that process. So that's definitely very good. Once we're all done with that and you're getting ready to ship out to basic military training, basic military training is 7.5 weeks. Your tech school can range anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Some are a little bit longer depending on how intense your career option is. Obviously, the more importance the job has, the more tech school, the more training, because of the more experience and more knowledge that you need to obtain to be able to operate at 100% capacity for that specific job. For a 6-month total pay, roughly for an E3 with dependents, living in San Diego area, you're probably making about $28,000, a little bit over $28,000 a year. If you're E3 and single, you're making half of that while you're gone, and these numbers are while you're in training, basic military training, tech school. The big difference between dependents and single is due to the fact that when you are in active duty status, you actually get housing allowance, food allowance, and so forth, which are additional benefits to be able to help support your family while you're gone. When you're single and you don't have any dependents, when you go to basic military and tech school, you get room and board, food allowance, and all that good stuff. It's already included in your daily activities. So therefore, you don't get that extra stipend and that extra pay. As far as for folks that are single, but you have a lease and you can't break from that lease, you'll get a different type of entitlement for housing allowance. So you'll get housing allowance for single rate rather than dependent, which is roughly about, you'll be making about $24,858 for that time frame that you'll be gone in training. Next slide, please. So why join? Basically, the Air Force Reserve will definitely provide you with the part-time job that you seek in regards into the specific area of expertise that you want to get into. You're definitely going to be able to stay locally, which if you love San Diego, you love Southern California, you're definitely going to be able to stay here. We definitely offer competitive pay, as you saw on the slide. Definitely good healthcare rates, retirement benefits as well. Again, it's for some of you it's a little bit far out, but it's never too early to start planning on that retirement. Definitely unlimited access to any military installation to be able to enjoy what the benefits of the military exchange and the commissary has to offer. Education benefits as well. It's a good balancing between your civilian and military. You serve part-time, and then you can still be going to school full-time and have all that tuition assistance that we talked about. And in addition to that, you're going to be able to double dip. What does that mean? You're going to be able to work on a civilian retirement and also a military retirement. And while you're doing that, you're going to be getting 2 paychecks. So definitely worth your time. This comes, we have reached the end of the briefing. If you guys have any questions, definitely let us know. We're going to be staying online and monitoring the chat room. And again, thank you from Sergeant Elefante and myself.
Hey, thank you very much, Master Sergeant Guardado. Next, we are going to be moving on to Enlisted Active Duty with Technical Sergeant Harrington and Technical Sergeant Rosser.
Alrighty, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Sergeant Harrington. I know we're kind of long, so I'll make it as quick but as informative as I can for you. I am the active duty recruiter. If you have questions throughout this, Sergeant Rosser is in the comments, so he'll be able to answer the questions that you have. Hopefully some of the questions will be answered throughout this briefing. But a little bit about me, I've been in the Air Force for 11 years. I joined right out of high school. I swore into the delayed entry program in January of 2009. I didn't leave for basic training until July. So I joined right after high school, graduated in May. I was 17 years old. So like some of you or most of you, I did join right out of high school. Best decision I could have ever made in my life. So one thing I want to say before I start that I tell everyone when I talk to them, make sure you do your research and take advantage of forums like this, because when I went into a recruiter's office, I didn't know anything about any of the other components. The only thing I knew was I want to go to the Air Force, but I didn't know about the Academy, ROTC. I did not know about the reserves or even the Guard. So definitely take advantage of it. Do your research, learn all you can about all the different components, and make the best decision for your life, because at the end of the day, it's your career, it's your life. So you have to be happy with the decision that you make. So I started off with how to apply for the Air Force, because like I said, a lot of people know the Air Force. They know what we do. They know that the Air Force active duty is the only thing that they kind of hear about. So I wanted to first just tell you in three simple ways how to join, and then we'll look at some of the benefits that were very, very similar to the Guard and Reserve. The biggest takeaway to think about it, the easiest way is we are full-time. This is my full-time job. I'm a full-time active duty recruiter right now. And then part-time is where you can still, what the reserves and the Air National Guard talked about previously. So I'm just gonna talk to you real quick about how to join, and then we'll get into the benefits. So next slide, please. So first and foremost, you want to reach out to your local active duty recruiter. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can go onto the airforce.com website and hit apply now. That website has a lot of information on it. You can ask a friend. The Aim High app is super beneficial, especially if you are wanting to start a career in the Air Force active duty. It's required for you to download this app whenever you are talking to your recruiter, because it's just going to help you and prepare you to join and go to basic military training. You can also ask your school guidance counselor, and then just do a quick Google search. A lot of people find our offices by simply just typing in Air Force, and honestly, the first thing that comes up is an active duty office. So those are just some quick ways that you can find a local active duty recruiter. Next slide, please. All right, so next step, please keep in mind that as I go through this, your recruiter's process is gonna be slightly different. Each recruiter does things a little bit different, but this is the basics. This is how you join and what the steps would look like. So next step, you'll get in touch with your recruiter. They'll ask you if you qualify, that you'll fill out an eligibility worksheet. We gotta ask you a certain amount of questions. It's all about whole person concept. How motivated you are, if this is something you actually really want to do, or you're not just like playing games or anything. Make sure you're motivated and that this is something you truly want to do. Your recruiter is going to ask you to turn in certain documents. So you are going to need your high school diploma. If you're still in high school, that's absolutely fine. You just need to turn in a letter to your recruiter saying that you're on track to graduate. You'll need your birth certificate, social security card, and a photo ID. So if you don't have your driver's license, that's not a deal breaker. You can still turn in your state ID and or passport. It just needs to be a photo ID. So those are some of the source documentations that you will need to turn into your recruiter to get the process started. Next slide. So requirements. I see a lot of questions in the chat about what are the requirements to join. Fairly easy. Again, it's going to go off how you are, whole person concept, but ultimately you got to be 17 to 39. Again, like I said, I joined when I was 17. So if you are 17, you will need parental consent. So I had to have my parents sign for me. I was just a baby trying to live on my own, and here I am 11 years later loving this life. So you have to be 17 to 39. You need to be a U.S. citizen or a legal or a permanent resident to join. And again, the high school diploma or a GED with 15 college credits. Just be mindful that if you do have a GED, you need to at least be 18. Pass an ASVAB score. Now, I put this on here, but I'm gonna tell you, do not try to shoot for a minimum. Go above and beyond that, because a 31 is gonna get you a minimum of very, very small amount of jobs. So I would suggest anyone, if you have taken an ASVAB or taken a practice test, shoot for something higher than a 31. That way you leave yourself a lot of options and you don't just give yourself a certain amount of jobs. You give yourself a whole lot of options. And then GED holders, you have to get a minimum of a 50. On top of meeting all those requirements, you need to meet the height and weight standards. So if you have talked to a recruiter and they told you that your height and weight standards are not up to par, it is not them being mean, it is just height and weight standards. And when you're joining the Air Force, there are standards throughout your entire career. So make sure you get in contact with your local recruiter for more information. But these are just the basic eligibility requirements. So if you meet all of these, then you can apply to join the Air Force. Next slide. All right. So after you go through and have your eligibility worksheet, you make an appointment with your recruiter. This is gonna look a little different due to COVID, hence we're meeting on Zoom. A lot of recruiters are actually doing the Zoom and the virtual calls. That is not gonna take away from the process. You're still gonna meet with your recruiter and start the process. It is a requirement to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, so AKA ASVAB. You have to take the ASVAB, and that is where I say you want to shoot for more than a 31. You don't want to go and try to join with just a 31. You want to set yourself up for success. That test is taken down at the MEPS, the Military Entrance Processing Station, and it is taken down there with them. Your recruiter is going to give you a practice test to see where you are so that you don't waste your time going down there if you're not ready. You're also, after you take your ASVAB, you have to take a physical. And at that physical, they're gonna check you from top to bottom. You're gonna get your ears checked, your eyes, you're gonna get lab work, your analysis. You're gonna get a lot of tests done. It's a really long day, but make sure you see your recruiter for more information about the MEPS processing. But it is not a physical where you do push-ups, sit-ups, because I get that question a lot, is where am I gonna go to MEPS and take a push-ups and sit-ups test? It's not that, it's a medical exam. And so that is where you are going to do that. So after you talk to your recruiter and you take your ASVAB, you take your physical, there are other steps that go along with that. You'll swear into the delay entry program where you basically wait for a job. Our job process and our job selection is completely different from other branches, so just be mindful of that. You're typically in our delay entry program for about 3 to 4 months before you get a job. So you actually career council with your recruiter back at the office after you get a list of all the jobs that you have been given at MEPS when you took your physical and your ASVAB. They're going to give you a list of every job that the Air Force will, you qualified for. We have over 150 career fields, so you have a wide range of jobs that you can do in the Air Force active duty. Next slide. So going into benefits, that was the process and how it works. So going into the benefits, one of the really, really cool things that my counterparts have already touched on is the Community College of the Air Force. This is an amazing opportunity, an amazing degree, and I push it so much because I have my Community College of the Air Force, and it's such an easy way to earn a degree and make yourself more marketable. If this is something that you just want to do for 4 years and get out and go live your life and do something else, why not get this Community College of the Air Force degree and have something to make yourself marketable when you get out of the Air Force? So you're automatically enrolled. There's nothing special you have to do but ship off to basic military training. And you actually start earning credits as soon as you leave. So you get enrolled automatically. You earn credits at basic military training. You go to technical training, and at technical training is where you learn your job, and you earn credits there. And any type of leadership schools, professional military development that the Air Force sends you to, you earn credits that way too. So it is a regionally accredited college. So it is something to be proud of and actually display a Community College of the Air Force degree. Sometimes this is all some kids get, and this is what they actually are proud of. And so take advantage of the opportunities that you are given and that you can receive while in the Air Force. Next slide. So some more benefits of active duty. The biggest thing is education. We are really, really big on education. As you've heard that with all the speakers today, education is something that we're big on. The Air Force pays for you to go to college. Why not take advantage of that? I had no way to go to college when I joined in 2009. My parents couldn't afford to send me to college, so I joined the Air Force, and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I have not paid a dime for that degree, but showed up every day and did my job. So they pay up to 100%. And the cool thing about it is you can go to whatever college you want to go to. Of course, this is after basic training and tech school. You need to be at your first duty station before you can apply for tuition assistance, but it is free, and they pay for you. You get $4,500 every fiscal year, and the Air Force counts, or the military in general counts, a fiscal year as September 30th to 1 October to September 30th. So that is your fiscal year. If you don't use the money, it does not transfer. It's not where if you don't use it this year, you'll get another $4,500. It's $4,500. So do not let the money go to waste if you decide to join. Use it, and use it for going to get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or whatever degree you are seeking. Let the Air Force pay for it while you're doing your job. So you are able to get certificates of your choice paid for by the Air Force. And the other thing, the post 9/11, super helpful for those once you get out of the military and you want college and you just weren't able to go while you were in, or you chose not to and you want to do it after. Tuition and housing is paid for if you do the post 9/11. But the cool thing about it is, for me, I've already done my bachelor's, maybe do a master's, but I can transfer this to my children. And so I really like the post 9/11, and that is a big benefit of the Air Force. Next slide, please. So free. Everybody likes free stuff. When I was 17 and they told me that I'll have my own place, I'll be living on my own, they'll pay for my food, they'll give me medical, dental. I said, sign me up. I told my recruiter, sign me up. I'm all for it. So you get a dormitory if you do not have dependents. If you have dependents, you'll get a housing allowance each month. But the Air Force pays for it. They give you 3 meals a day when you are in the dorms, and you get free medical and free dental coverage. I think that is the best deal you can get, especially for a kid straight out of high school like I was. I was 17 and I was able to take advantage of all these benefits for me at 17. And now I look back, am at home, and I'm originally from Florida. So I look back at home and I see all my friends just still hanging out, hanging around, not really doing much with their life. And here I am. I've been deployed twice. I've been to Afghanistan. I've been to Dubai. I've only been to 2 bases, so I haven't had the cool, really like going all over, but I know a lot of people that are active duty that get to travel a lot of different places, but I have been able to go other places. We just recently, and I say we, me and my children, we just moved from Alaska. So we were living in Alaska before coming to San Diego. So this is a big climate change, but you're able to travel. Now, I will say this, one of the biggest differences between us and the reserves or guard is that there's no guarantee that you will come back to San Diego. There is no Air Force active duty location here. There is active duty Air Force bases in California, but there's no active duty Air Force base here in San Diego. But that doesn't mean you can't get stationed somewhere here in California or somewhere around the area, around the US. But we have bases all over the world. Stateside, overseas, we have bases everywhere. So if that's your main takeaway, there is no guarantee that you'll come back to California, but be open-minded, be flexible, take advantage of being young because it goes by so fast. So just take advantage, do your research, and know what you want to do. Next slide, please. So money. When I joined, I wanted to know how much money am I gonna make? As soon as I joined, I wanna know what am I gonna get paid? So this is just the basic monthly table for E1 to E7. So depending on if you have college credits or not, you will start off as an E1. If you have college credits, if you have about 20 or so, you can go to E2, and anything over 45 credits is an E3. So here's just a basic table. This is not private information. You can find this on Google. Their monthly pay table is out there, but just know raises are based on promotion and time in service. So it's an automatic promotion all the way up to E4. Once you become an E5 and higher, that is where you have to start testing and they start looking at your performance. So that is just the benefits of having this. You get a check every 1st and the 15th. As a 17, 18-year-old, you're having that financial security. And vacation, 30 days paid leave. If I'm over in Legoland with my children, or I'm overseas somewhere on a cruise, I'm still getting paid while I'm taking leave, and you can save up to 60 days. So that is another great benefit of the Air Force in general. Next slide, please. And that is all I have. I went through that pretty quick, but again, like I said, this is just the biggest takeaway from this is we are active duty, we're full-time. So if you're looking to do something full-time, start a career as soon as you graduate high school like I did, this is the route for you to take. You get the free medical, the free dental, everything that you can need as a 17, 18-year-old. It's an amazing benefit. But again, please do your research and take advantage of researching and being informed like this, because it is definitely super helpful, and seeing that you have multiple resources. Because again, don't be like me. I didn't know anything about all of the other components, and I learned a lot just sitting here. And I'm an active duty recruiter at 11 years, and I didn't know some of the stuff that was talked about. So take advantage of it and be thankful that you are able to have forums like this. And I'm Sergeant Harrington. Sergeant Rosser is in the comments asking questions, but we're here if you have any questions or anything. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Tech Sergeant Harrington. And now, just to close out, we're gonna talk briefly about Space Force and our pipelines to get there. Lieutenant Oliver, would you like to talk about briefly how the Air Force Academy is looking at Space Force?
Absolutely. So for the Air Force Academy, we are doing a boarded process to become a Space Force officer. This is done during your junior year at the Air Force Academy. You show interest, and then you also go through a background check, ideally, of your performance, and you are weighted against your class to see who would be the best fit to become a Space Force officer. Ideally, only 10% of Academy graduates will become Space Force officers moving forward, and that's currently what the current system in play is.
already, and ROTC is very similar to the Air Force Academy. You are going to show, if you're interested in Space Force and want to go that route, you're going to show interest in the Space Force in your sophomore year before you go to field training. And then we are going to board you and evaluate you in your junior year. And just like the Air Force Academy, only about 10% of our ROTC cadets will be going that route. And then enlisted Tech Sergeant Harrington, would you like to talk about your pipeline to the Space Force, ma'am?
So this is still really, really new for us. I would suggest talking to your local recruiter, but just let your recruiter know if you are interested in the Space Force, and they'll be able to assist you from there. This is still such a new thing for all of us, so we're still trying to gather it and get more information as it comes down. But make sure to let your recruiter know that you are interested in the Space Force, and they'll be able to do their part on that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, ma'am. And then Tech Sergeant LeBlanc, slide, please. Alrighty. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Right now, we're going to be moving into a little bit of live Q&A. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat or use the raise your hand feature. If you don't know where that is, you can click on participants and a little screen will pop up, and there's a button at the bottom right hand corner where you can raise your hand if you have a question and want to ask the group of recruiters out here. Otherwise, we will continue answering questions in the chat for a little while, but if there's nothing else that you need, please feel free to go. We will hang out for a little while longer to answer any questions or clarify anything you want to know.
So I can go ahead and answer Robbie's question. If you want to become a pilot, what would be your best course of action? Ideally, for me, it would be attending ROTC or the Air Force Academy, because they are your easiest routes in terms of earning a pilot slot. Enlisting gives you some challenges on getting out of your commitment to either attend an ROTC and earn your commission, but it's absolutely a possible route to do. I, for one, is one of them. I enlisted at a high school and got selected to attend the Air Force Academy and have my pilot slot. So in terms of out of high school, I would recommend you pursue Air Force ROTC or the Air Force Academy, but enlisting is absolutely an option as well.
And let's see, Michael Good, do you have a question, sir?
Yes, I do. Thank you. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Michael Good. I teach Air Force Junior ROTC at Temecula Valley High School. I have a couple cadets on here tonight. First of all, let me thank you all for putting on a fantastic presentation. Lots of really good meaty information for these cadets and everybody on here to really absorb. So thank you for that. So as I talk to cadets, I'm still a pretty new instructor, retired just 3 years ago. And they ask me about dealing with recruiters. Let me go to the active duty recruiter, if you wouldn't mind. What is it that you like to see out of a prospective airman that you work with that makes you want to work with them even more, to maybe go above and beyond to help them get into the Air Force? What are those sorts of traits you like to see?
So something that I personally like to see when someone comes in is that they're motivated. If I ask, you know, like, do you have this? Do you need this? Can you get this to me? They're motivated. They want to do it. They keep me on track with reaching out, not letting me just kind of, oh, I'll talk to them in a minute, or, you know, like they're motivated. That's the biggest thing that I like to see, because if someone's motivated, that lets me know that they actually want to do this. And it's not me forcing them to do it or like really trying to push it so much. They want to do it and they want to see the change in their life. So for me, I want you to be motivated and actually be meaningful and be open-minded to other opportunities. So not just coming in with just this one-sided, this is what I want to do. If you can't do it, whatever. Being open-minded to a lot of opportunities, because the Air Force can give you a lot of opportunities. And I understand the job is important to a lot of people, but coming in and getting those benefits, my person that is a cook and person at security forces and someone like me that was a traffic manager, we all get paid the same if we're the same rank. So we're all there doing the same mission. So just having that mindset and knowing that there are plenty of opportunities and research. If you do your research, and you're going to make the right decision for your career, because only you know what you want to do in your life.
Thank you for sharing that. So what I heard, kind of the key takeaways, is you like proactiveness from your candidates, right? You like them to follow up, and you want them to be service-minded over kind of focused, laser focused on a specific job. So awesome. Can I do, if I can, one more follow-up with our officer accessions folks, so the Academy and ROTC. For cadets who are wanting to go to college right out of high school and pursue a commission, as you're probably aware at this point, the Chief of Staff has the Flight Academy program that is tailored towards high school Air Force Junior RTC folks. How much of a play, I know they're kind of early in the infancy, if you will, of that program, but how much of a play would somebody actually having been selected and attending and completing that program successfully, how much of a leg up would that give them on applying to the Air Force Academy and an ROTC program for a scholarship? And then ultimately, hopefully working towards a pilot slot. Do you guys have enough information on that yet?
I actually can answer that one pretty well. So for the pilot slot aspect of that, the actual being part of that scholarship is going to give them the flight hours, even their pilot's license and all that experience that'll actually rack up for their actual, it's their like pilot score when they actually do apply for a pilot slot. So that's going to primarily where it's going to give them a big advantage. Of course, it shows a very good interest in the Air Force itself. So that's going to be very good for the Air Force ROTC scholarships and the Academy in general, because it makes them look like a dedicated applicant and they do want to use that experience and serve their country. It's going to get a lot easier for them to join. But in terms of the competitiveness, it's also going to matter not only that program, but how well they did in school. They obviously earned that program, so their academics must be very well. They must go hand in hand together. So it does give them an advantage, and it was something that was earned from their academics. So their academics already show for themselves if they got that scholarship, and it's just adding on to their overall look and their profile, especially when it comes to when they get interviewed or they talk to a senator for a nomination or they talk to a admissions advisor or even a detachment commander for that scholarship nomination.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thanks again to all the presenters. Fantastic job. And thanks for taking the questions.
I had a question from Michaela about the ROTC scholarship being used with other scholarships and benefits. Yes, you can use other benefits in a conjunction with ROTC scholarships. You can actually have the ROTC scholarship be your primary scholarship at most universities, to where it'll take the bulk of the fees for you. So if you have grants or other scholarships that are primarily just active funds, you can actually have the ROTC take out your tuition and fees and use the rest to pay your room and board if they don't have that covered already, or even just pocket the rest. I know a few of my ROTC friends did the same thing, where they were on type 1 or type 2 scholarships from ROTC, and they just pocketed other scholarships they got just from having good academics or being nominated by their commanders. So yes, you can actually have them in conjunction. So you don't have to use all your benefits early if you're prior duty, or you don't have to actually use your other scholarship money. You can actually pocket it and use it for other things.
And we got a question from Kaylee. To become a pilot, what should my major be in college? Kaylee, to become a pilot, you can major in anything that you want. Personally, I am a pilot select and I majored in business. I know pilot selects who majored in communications, engineering, math, and all across the spectrum. So you don't have to major in anything particular to get that pilot slot.
Megan, what should I be focused on right now as a junior in high school to get into the USAFA? Ideally, go through the admissions website, check out the course suggestions that USAFA does have. and see if you can align your courses in terms of that. Make sure you hit your math courses, your science courses, your computer courses, language courses. So those are small things. Making sure your GPA is high is a pretty big desire, as well as your SAT and ACT. I know that's something that's not currently being offered right now, but that is still something that is required for academies and most universities. And lastly, just get involved, be passionate in what you want to do, and do that. You don't have to hit big name points, but if you can show that you are passionate in something and you are doing it, that is all you have to do to be a leader. So take that in consideration, and feel free to message me or shoot a message on my number, and we can talk further about this.
I have a question for if JRTC affects your application chances. Same thing like the pilot program that the Lieutenant Colonel was talking about earlier. It's going to be something that's going to make you look better than other candidates. So the more that you're doing on your free time, the more you're getting involved outside of just your normal academics at high school, the better it's going to look for academy admissions and ROTC admissions and scholarships. So just put yourself out there, find something you're happy with and you want to do and you want to dedicate time to. It'll show that you have passion, which means you'll have passion to actually serve while you're in the Air Force.
I saw a vision question about being a pilot. So to be a pilot, how good does your eyes need to be? I currently still wear glasses when I have to fly, and most of the day when I'm on my computer, I don't wear my glasses because it's not the most comfortable. But there's a pretty good spectrum on how bad your eyes can be and still fly. I wear about a -1 in terms of prescription. I don't know if that gives you any insight, but at least the Air Force Academy does offer eye correction surgery for you to become a pilot. I'm not sure what the Air Force ROTC has, but I believe they also have something similar.
Yes, as long as your eyesight's correctable, they'll go ahead and they'll fix that for you. There's a certain level that they can do, and then there's obviously certain supplements they can make to your actual equipment when you are a pilot that can actually help make up for any shortcomings.
The eye correction surgery is, completely free. So it is covered by the Air Force.
That's one of the great things about the healthcare. I saw a question for if joining the Civil Air Patrol makes you stand out from other applicants. Yes, it's also going to give you a little bit more of a knowledge base, and it's going to actually kind of show you not a day in the life of the Air Force, but it'll at least show you a little bit of the aviation side of it. So it would make you look better. It's going to be something that's outside of the normal academics. It's going to make you stand out amongst other applicants.
I saw Jesus's question. My wife and I are both joining the Air Force, one as an officer, one as enlisted. Is it possible to be stationed together? It is absolutely possible to be stationed together. As an officer and enlisted, there's just certain criteria and guidelines that need to be covered in terms of not being in the same chain of command. But it is possible. It just does limit your possible places where you can be stationed. Usually it requires a major command level for you to be stationed together, but definitely possible.
And we got another vision question. Can they correct -3.25? So Lieutenant Oliver or Lieutenant Valles, correct me if I'm wrong, but right now, all I know is that you have to have 2200 vision correctable to 2020 in order to be able to fly.
For -3.25, it is actually correctable. If your eyes is correctable, yes, -3.25 is fine. I had a friend who had worst eyes and got his PRK taken care of. So, yes.
It's something that they'll evaluate when you actually go get your flight physical, and they'll tell you. There's also certain things with your eyes that are more technical to see if they can correct it. But if it's correctable, the Air Force will gladly put money towards it to get it done, especially if they can get a good pilot. Let's see, I see a question for, is there a mechanical career path for the Space Force? At the moment, a good majority of them are going to be the more technical side of things. Of course, the Space Force is ever growing, so there's going to be more and more jobs as the years come by. So I'm sure if you do want to start looking at them, there's going to be jobs that are going to be opening. It's still a brand new branch, so I'm sure there are mechanical career paths. They just have yet to label them and figure out who's going where. But definitely start asking your recruiter those questions and start figuring out what fields you want to start looking at. And then I also see how competitive is the enlistment process for active duty. That's going to be on which kind of enlisted job you're looking at. Some enlisted jobs have other prior tests in the background that you have to do as well, depending on what job you want. But it's basically, as long as you do good on your ASVAB and you have that passion and you want that job and you're willing to work for it, you can get it.
Alrighty, everyone, we are about 1 minute to 8 o'clock. So I'm going to ask that everyone stop posting their questions in the chat. And recruiters, if you want to just drop your contact info in the chat one last time, and we can wrap up the night.
Hey, it's Lieutenant Colonel Good here, just with one more quick question, and this will probably benefit everybody. I see that the meeting is recorded. Is the link to the recording going to be sent out in the next few days?
Yes, sir. We can, we'll take care of the recording and then we'll get it out to you guys.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, sir, this is Sergeant LeBlanc. I'm an Air Force recruiter. I'm actually hosting this meeting here. I don't know where we're going to host it yet, but I'll leave my contact information. And if you just email me here, I can let you know where it's going to be posted.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.